6 months after the K'tharr Khanate's humiliating retreat, Earth was slowly revitalizing. The dust had settled. Rivers polluted by war waste were being cleansed with Lyran technology. Cities, once reduced to rubble, were now massive construction sites where human architects and engineers worked alongside Lyran advisors, turning concepts once only found in science fiction into reality. Tartarus, no longer a secret military outpost, had been expanded into a modern underground city, an advanced research and development hub where Lyran and human technology merged, creating groundbreaking inventions. Infinite energy from Lyran supplied antimatter power modules had completely replaced obsolete power plants, providing clean and abundant energy globally. Giant solar energy fields, once symbols of old hope, were now mere relics, but they were preserved as a reminder of the past. Regenerative medical technology healed the scars of war, both physical and mental. Severe burn wounds were restored, lost limbs regenerated, and even deep psychological traumas were gradually being soothed with advanced therapies. However, this recovery was not without its challenges. Billions had died, society had been torn apart. The global government was in the process of rebuilding, attempting to reconcile the remaining cultural and political fragments of a once divided world. Trust in the old system had been shaken to its core. Director Anya Sharma, now Earth's ambassador to the Lyran Alliance, faced a monumental task, not only representing humanity on the galactic stage but also helping to shape the future of a planet changing daily. In her new office in Tartarus, a spacious room with a simulated window overlooking a lush Lyran forest, Rostova sat before a transparent touchscreen, reviewing progress reports. "We're doing better than expected," she murmured to herself, her voice contemplative. "But this pace of integration, it's creating a huge gap between the informed and the uninformed. This is a problem." One of the biggest challenges was human adaptation to new technology and knowledge. For Kaelen Vance, he felt a clear division. On one hand, there were people like him, Anya Sharma, Aris Thorne, and Lena Petrova, those who had been in Echo's inner circle, who had known about the Lyran Alliance's existence beforehand. They adapted more easily to advanced technologies, to the concept of alien civilizations. On the other hand, there were billions of people on the surface, who had only known a world of war and destruction, and were now suddenly told that they were not alone, that there were other races out there, and that some of them had secretly helped them. Director, Kaelen said, entering Rostova's office. He hadn't worn a military uniform in weeks, opting instead for a simpler worksuit. But he still exuded agility. Reports from the integration centers are increasing. There's skepticism. There's fear. Some groups are calling the Lyrans manipulators, believing they allowed the invasion to test us. Rostova sighed, rubbing her temples. "I know, Kaelen. This is an unavoidable side effect of keeping secrets for too long. We had to weigh causing immediate panic against facing anger when the truth was revealed. We chose this path, and now we must face the consequences. So what will we do?" Kaelen asked. "Some people are refusing Lyran technology, living in tech-free zones, trying to return to pre-war life. We will educate them," Rostova replied, her gaze firm. "We will show them the benefits, but we will not force them. Humans have the right to choose their own path. This is a long process. Kaelen, thousands of years of division cannot be erased in a few months." Despite the ongoing challenges on Earth, Kaelen Vance's mission had changed significantly. He was no longer a lone fighter pilot. He was an explorer, a diplomat, a representative for a new Earth in the vast galaxy. The shadow ships, once designed for war, had now been refitted for exploration and diplomacy. With advanced Lyran shared warp drives, they could traverse immense distances in short periods, reaching unknown star systems. In the cockpit of the Shadow Alpha, Kaelen sat in the captain's chair, feeling the gentle hum of the engines beneath his feet. Beside him, Anya Sharma, now his chief navigation and data officer, checked complex star maps. Instead of K'tharr threats, the screens now illuminated distant constellations, brilliant nebulae, and potential destinations. Next objective, Beta Centauri system. Planet Xylos, Anya announced, her voice steady and professional. Lyran data indicates this is a silicon-based lifeform civilization, living on crystals. They've developed a communication system based on light frequencies. Might be a bit hard for us to understand. Great, Kaelen chuckled. From fighting rock monsters, now we're trying to talk to glowing rocks. At least they don't want to destroy us. I hope. The trip to Xylos was their first to a distant Lyran civilization. Not a founding member but a species that had joined the Alliance later. As the Shadow Alpha exited warp, the planet Xylos appeared before them. A glittering purple jewel in space, covered by gigantic crystal structures rising from the surface, reflecting the light of its host star. The first contact was cautious. The Xylos representatives, tall crystal entities glowing with various colors depending on their emotional state, greeted them with complex light beams and wordless melodies. Anya Sharma, with her excellent linguistic analysis skills, quickly helped establish translation protocols. Kaelen, with his characteristic straightforwardness and humor, created a pleasant surprise for the Xylos, who were accustomed to more complex and serious diplomatic rituals. We are pleased to welcome you to the Alliance. A Xylos representative emitted a brilliant blue light beam. Translated into sound, your strength in the war against the K'tharr Khanate has been noted. You have displayed a burning will. Yeah, we were burning, Kaelen said, staring at the crystal entity. Both literally and figuratively. We hope not to burn again without good reason. The Xylos entity emitted a sequence of pale yellow light. Translated as, what an interesting expression. You are truly unique. This encounter was just the beginning. Kaelen and Anya embarked on many other journeys. To various Lyran civilizations, from gaseous creatures living in nebulae to complex biological species living in massive space colonies. Each encounter brought new challenges, new insights into the diversity of life in the galaxy, and solidified humanity's position as a new, fearless, and surprising race. Even though the K'tharr Khanate had retreated, their shadow still loomed. Lyran intelligence confirmed that Xy'lar was regrouping his forces, still haunted by his defeat on Earth. Scattered reports of K'tharr attacks on Lyran Alliance border worlds indicated they remained a constant threat. A painful scar in the galaxy. In Tartarus, Aris Thorne and Lena Petrova continued their work, not just researching and developing new technology, but also analyzing data on the K'tharr. The signs indicate Xy'lar is seeking a new form of energy, Aris said, alone in his lab, typing rapidly, his eyes glued to the screen displaying complex formulas. Energy he believes will allow him to overcome our Echo and SDW. He's still obsessed with that defeat. Lena, entering the room, held a fresh cup of coffee. He may be obsessed, but so are we. Aris, we can't rest on our laurels. The K'tharr Khanate won't give up that easily. And that's why we're working non-stop. Aris replied, pointing to a three-dimensional projection of a new, complex device. This is the Echo Resonator. It will allow us to not only generate echo, but also to reflect any K'tharr energy attack with their own energy, amplifying it and sending it back to them. It's a new type of energy shield, right? Lena asked, looking at the device. More than that, Aris smiled, a rare bright smile. It's a defensive weapon. It will turn their anger into a warning, an echo they'll never forget. For Kaelen, Anya, and the others, the war with the K'tharr had left a deep mark. They had survived, but at a cost. The memories of war were still there, like invisible scars, but they had learned that even in the darkest moments, humanity could still find light, find unity, and find a path to the stars. Not with fear, but with hope and an indomitable will. A year had passed since the K'tharr Khanate was repelled from the solar system, and Earth was undergoing a strong period of recovery. No longer a ravaged planet, Earth was gradually becoming a living testament to humanity's incredible resilience, supported by the advanced technology of the Lyran Alliance. Ruined cities were being rebuilt, but not according to old models. Instead, they were new architectural wonders, harmoniously blending human design with sustainable, lightweight Lyran materials. Buildings soared high with transparent glass panels, reflecting the blue sky that had returned, and vertical gardens embraced each tower, bringing fresh greenery and vitality to the urban landscape. New educational centers sprung up everywhere, teaching not only Earth's history and science, but also astronomy, theoretical physics of advanced civilizations, and especially the Lyran language, a complex but melodious language, serving as a bridge for intergalactic relations. The younger generation, children who grew up during the war, now saw a future far grander than underground bunkers. They looked up at the sky no longer with fear, but with curiosity and a yearning for exploration. Professor K'tharr Vance, now no longer just a reclusive cosmologist but a prominent figure in the Global Reconstruction Council, stood on a balcony in New Dawn City, one of the largest reconstruction projects in North America. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of damp earth and newly planted vegetation. She looked down at the bustling streets of New Dawn City, where silent flying vehicles glided between glass and steel skyscrapers. They said we couldn't rebuild this fast, Professor Vance said, her voice warm, a gentle smile on her lips. Beside her was a Lyran advisor, a being with softly glowing skin and large, dark eyes. They were wrong. Humans always exceed expectations. The Lyran advisor, a being named Aliana, emitted a soft green light sequence, translated as, "The will of humanity is stronger than any tool. Our technology is merely a catalyst. This recovery is yours." Kaelen Vance and Anya Sharma were the most vivid examples of this change. They were no longer just military officers. Kaelen, with his command experience and extraordinary adaptability, had been appointed commander of the Intergalactic Exploration Fleet, a new position created within Earth's rebuilt military structure. But with a completely different objective, peace and exploration. He spent most of his time on the upgraded Shadow Alpha, now named Dragon Lord, leading reconnaissance missions deep into Lyran space, establishing relationships with new civilizations, and mapping unknown regions of the galaxy. Anya Sharma, with her data analysis skills and composure, became director of the Intergalactic Intelligence Agency. This position focused not only on military threats, but also on gathering information about other civilizations, cultures, and technologies in the galaxy. She worked closely with Lyran counterparts, deciphering complex languages, analyzing alien social patterns, and sometimes solving mysteries about previously unknown races. One day, on the bridge of the Dragon Lord, Kaelen and Anya were reviewing data on a giant gas planet on the edge of Lyran space. "Suspicious signal in quadrant GAMMA7, Anya reported, her voice professional, her fingers gliding across the screen. "A form of energy emission inconsistent with any natural source in this area. Not Lyran technology either. There's a strange noise, almost like a minor spacetime distortion." Kaelen frowned. "K'tharr? Possibly," Anya replied, "but the data is too faint to confirm. It resembles a probing signature. A search, as if they're looking for something. Or someone." Kaelen nodded, his gaze distant. Despite the victory, the fear of the K'tharr always lingered. "Like a haunting shadow. We'll send an unmanned reconnaissance drone to check it out. No direct approach. I don't want us to start a new war." Meanwhile, in Tartarus, Dr. Aris Thorne and Dr. Lena Petrova were pioneers in integrating Lyran technology with human knowledge. Their lab, now bathed in light and alien equipment, was a hub of innovation. Aris, with his hair messier than ever, was often found muttering complex mathematical formulas, almost like a lullaby, while Lena patiently translated complex Lyran concepts into a language human engineers could understand. One of their greatest successes was the development of the biological warp module, a new propulsion system that used biological energy to bend space. Far more efficient than conventional antimatter engines and more environmentally friendly. It not only opened up faster travel routes, but also promised groundbreaking medical applications. "Aris, you did it," Lena Petrova exclaimed one afternoon, her cry echoing through the lab as a test circuit glowed with a dazzling yellow light. Silently, perfect synchronization. The system self-corrects errors without our intervention. Aris Thorne, with his usual grimace, broke into a radiant smile. A genuine one, not forced. "I told you, Lena, biological logic and quantum physics aren't as alien as people think. We just needed to find their common ground. And that's when we truly surpass the K'tharr," Lena said, looking at the 3D model of the upgraded Echo resonator, which now not only defended but also had the ability to create localized force fields. "They won't be able to withstand this." The relationship with the Lyran Alliance deepened. Lyran delegations were sent to Earth to learn about human culture, history, and art. They were fascinated by humanity's emotional diversity, endless creativity, and unique sense of humor. Lyran symphonies were held in Earth's rebuilt cities. And conversely, human art exhibitions were displayed on distant Lyran planets. At a diplomatic gala in the Lyran capital, where starlight streamed through crystal domes, Kaelen Vance, now more skilled at communicating with alien civilizations, was speaking with Ambassador Xy'lar. "We are truly impressed with your pace of development," Kaelen, Xy'lar said, the light from her body shifting from blue to a soft yellow, indicating satisfaction. "Humanity's recovery and adaptability are unprecedented in the Alliance. We have reason to be fast," Kaelen replied, sipping a Lyran drink that tasted like moonlight and honey. "We saw what happened when we weren't ready. We don't want to repeat that." Xy'lar nodded. "And the threat of the K'tharr Khanate remains. We need the unity of all Alliance members to deal with them. Humanity will be a strong ally." Kaelen looked out the giant window, where Lyran ships glided across the sky, their lights twinkling like stars on the ground. He thought of those who were lost, of Maya. Though the pain was still there, it was no longer a burden that consumed him. Now, it was a motivation. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as a solitary species, not as prey, but as a new, brave, resilient race, ready to face any challenge the universe brought, with unity and an indomitable spirit. The echo's resonance was not just a war message. It had become a song, a promise, an echo of an infinite future. Deep within K'tharr Khanate-controlled space, at the Empire's capital on the rocky planet Raxthor, the atmosphere was thick with tension and fear. The humiliating defeat on Earth remained an indelible stain on the Khanate's glorious history of conquest. A defeat that Grand Khan Xy'lar could not forgive, especially himself. On the command bridge of the flagship Invincible Conqueror, Xy'lar stood motionless, his fiery eyes fixed on the three-dimensional projection of Earth, a small blue dot now radiating a menacing light. He repeatedly replayed recordings of his confrontation with director Anya Sharma, studying every intonation, every expression on the human woman's face. "These Earth creatures," Xy'lar snarled, his voice deep and full of resentment. "They used a technology that shouldn't exist. A power they shouldn't have. An interference. I will not tolerate it." Colonel Krell, now thinner and seemingly more stressed than ever, stood beside the Grand Khan. He had endured Xy'lar's relentless rages since the retreat. "We have intensified data analysis, Grand Khan. The energy signatures from their echo remain a mystery. And the spacetime distortion technology. We have collected small fragments from the edge of their solar system. It resembles a variant of plasma energy bent by a secondary energy field. But its structure does not match anything we have ever detected." "I don't care about its structure," Krell, Xy'lar roared, whirling around, his four eyes glaring at Krell. "I want to know how to destroy it. How do we wipe these insects from the universe? How do we cleanse this stain? Our scientists are working tirelessly." "Grand Khan," Krell said, bowing his head, "they are researching technologies to counter spacetime distortions, and ways to penetrate their echo. However, they need time, and resources." "Time?" Xy'lar sneered, a horrifying sound like grinding rocks. "I gave them time, and they used it to slap me in the face. We will not make that mistake again. The Khanate will retaliate, but this time, we will not rush." In the following months, under the iron-fisted command of Grand Khan Xy'lar, the K'tharr Khanate launched a secret project called K'tharr's Scourge. This was not a mere frontal assault like before. This time, Xy'lar had learned his lesson about complacency. He understood that to defeat humanity and any of their secret allies, the Khanate needed a new method, a technology capable of countering both the echo and the spacetime distortion weapon, SDW. K'tharr scientists and engineers were forced to work tirelessly in fortified laboratories, under the strict supervision of special agents. The main goal was to develop a type of weapon or technology capable of stabilizing or even reversing spacetime distortion fields. They focused on exploiting a rare mineral called Vesperium, found deep within the cores of some giant gas planets. Vesperium had the ability to interact with spacetime at a quantum level, and the K'tharr believed it could be the key to neutralizing the Lyran Alliance's SDW. Latest report from the Vesperium project. A thin K'tharr scientist, his eyes sunken from lack of sleep, presented to Xy'lar. We have successfully developed a prototype of the spatial stabilizer device. It can create a localized energy field that significantly reduces the effectiveness of spacetime distortion fields. However, its range is still limited and it requires a colossal amount of energy to maintain. Xy'lar nodded, his teeth clicking softly, not in a smile, but a grim satisfaction. Good. Expand production. I want every flagship equipped with this. And you will find a way to increase its range. At all costs. The K'tharr's Scourge project also included the development of new secret infiltration routes. Instead of approaching Earth via conventional routes, the K'tharr had invested in using small, unstable artificial wormholes to jump past Lyran Alliance defenses. This was a risky tactic. But if successful, it would allow them to appear suddenly near Earth's solar system. Although the K'tharr tried to keep their activities secret, Anya Sharma's intergalactic intelligence agency, along with Lyran counterparts, began to detect alarming signs. Advanced Lyran listening posts, positioned on the edge of K'tharr space, had picked up unusual energy transmissions, signs of large-scale construction, and especially signals from deep within the gas giants the K'tharr had conquered, where Vesperium was being mined. These energy patterns don't match any K'tharr activity we've ever known, Anya Sharma told Ambassador Anya Petrova and Commander Kaelen Vance in an emergency meeting in Tartarus. She pointed to a complex three-dimensional projection, where purple energy curves danced across the screen. We've seen similar signals from previous K'tharr invasions, but their intensity and complexity have increased significantly. Especially these energy signatures from the gas planets. Those are areas the K'tharr usually pay no attention to. They're developing something, Kaelen Vance observed, crossing his arms. Something to counter our SDW. Or something entirely new. Ambassador Rostova nodded, her expression grim. The Lyran Alliance has confirmed these reports. They've noticed an increase in K'tharr activity, especially in border areas. Our scout teams have detected small, unstable, but very dangerous artificial wormholes. They're trying to infiltrate. So our prophecy has come true. Kaelen said, his voice resolute. They're coming back. With increasingly clear evidence of the returning threat, the Lyran Alliance and humanity activated a new joint defense project called Night Shield. This project focused on upgrading Earth's existing defense systems and extending the Echo network to critical areas of Lyran space. Dr. Aris Thorne and Dr. Lena Petrova became the main architects of the Night Shield project on Earth. They worked tirelessly to perfect the Echo resonator that Aris had designed. Now capable of amplifying and reflecting K'tharr energy attacks, turning their strength into their weakness. We need an impenetrable defense network, Lena told Aris in the lab. Not just for Earth, but for the entire Alliance region. We have to make sure the K'tharr can't repeat what they did to us. And that's why I'm integrating elements of Lyran crystal technology into the resonator. Aris replied, tapping a projection of the device. Lyran crystals are capable of resonating with spacetime energy fields, making our resonators many times more effective. It will turn the Echo into an unbreakable shield. Kaelen Vance and his Dragonlord fleet were given the crucial task of deploying new satellite Echo stations in strategic areas around Earth and along potential K'tharr infiltration routes. Each of these satellite stations was equipped with a miniature version of the Echo resonator, forming a multi-layered defense network. During a training session, Kaelen instructed a group of young pilots, who had joined the fleet after the war, on how to operate the new satellite stations. We're not just building a wall, Kaelen said, his voice calm and experienced. We're building an intelligent network. Each satellite station will be a node, an echo, a part of the whole. The signs of an impending new war became clearer. Anya Sharma's reconnaissance detected small K'tharr ship formations moving through artificial wormholes. Though they were still unstable, Xy'lar was testing, looking for weaknesses in the Alliance's defenses. Humanity had survived the First War through surprise and will. This time, they would face an enemy who had learned from their defeat. But humanity had learned too. They had found allies, developed new technology, and most importantly, they had found unity. We taught them a lesson, Kaelen told Anya on the bridge of the Dragonlord, as they prepared for another reconnaissance mission. And this time, we'll make sure they never forget. 7 months after the Night Shield project was deployed, a peaceful morning in Tartarus was shattered by a piercing alarm. Unlike the monotonous sirens of the early days of the invasion, this time, the alarm carried a more urgent, colder resonance, as if space itself was screaming. Outer defense systems breached. A technician's voice blared in the command center. His voice strained with tension. Multiple breach points. They're using artificial wormholes. Infiltration in Quadrant Zeta-9 and GAMMA-4. On the main screen, the three-dimensional projection of the solar system suddenly flickered, and dozens of red dots, smaller but faster than before, appeared unexpectedly, like new lesions erupting on a healthy body. They didn't move along the usual predictable routes the K'tharr Khanate had used before. Instead, they appeared from nowhere, subtly bypassing the first layer of the Echo network. Kaelen Vance, now not just the commander of the Dragon Lord but also one of Earth's main strategic defense commanders, rushed into the command center. He wore his upgraded flight suit, his eyes sharp and determined. Anya Sharma, with a serious expression, had already taken her place at the intelligence console, her fingers flying across the screen, analyzing incoming data. How could they get past the Night Shield grid? Kaelen demanded, his voice deep but filled with authority. We deployed the Echo resonator to every satellite node. Initial reports indicate they're using a form of spatial stabilizer module. Anya replied, her voice quick and decisive. It's minimizing the effectiveness of our spacetime distortion fields. They've learned to counter our SDW, and their wormholes are being created to evade our long-range sensors. They've improved significantly. Spatial stabilizer device. Kaelen muttered, recalling Anya's intelligence report on the K'tharr's Vesperium project. So Xy'lar's, K'tharr's scourge, has been effective. Director Anya Rostova, with incredible composure amidst the chaos, stepped to the main screen. Contact the Lyran Alliance patrol ships immediately. Report breach locations and request emergency assistance. Kaelen, the Dragon Lord formation is ready. We'll meet them in outer orbit. Understood, Director, Kaelen replied, turning and running towards the landing pad. His heart pounded in his chest, not from fear, but from a powerful urge to fight, to protect. The space around the outer belt of the solar system, once a quiet area with only mining stations and research satellites, now became a battlefield. The K'tharr Khanate's warships, though not as numerous as last time, were better equipped and moved with terrifying confidence. The light from K'tharr plasma explosions ripped through the cosmic night, illuminating the human, shadow, ships and incoming Lyran patrol vessels. The Dragon Lord, under Kaelen Vance's command, flew at incredible speed, weaving through the debris of destroyed ships. Kaelen was no longer a lone fighter pilot. He was leading a formation, and every crew member on the Dragon Lord was a specialist. Targeting system locked, Anya Sharma reported from the navigation chair, her fingers flying across the console. Xy'lar has fragmented his forces. They're trying to overwhelm us with small but fast numbers. Their primary targets are the Echo stations. We won't let them, Kaelen ordered, his voice echoing in the cockpit. All ships, concentrate fire on the ships carrying the spatial stabilizer devices. Neutralize those devices first. The battle turned chaotic. The human, shadow, ships, smaller but more agile, moved swiftly, dodging K'tharr plasma beams and counter-attacking with advanced Lyran Alliance energy weapons. However, the effectiveness of the spacetime distortion weapon, SDW, had significantly decreased. K'tharr ships, equipped with the spatial stabilizer device, could still fire back, albeit with reduced accuracy. A K'tharr heavy-class ship is heading for Echo Station GAMMA-4, a communications officer on the Dragon Lord reported. It has activated its spatial stabilizer device to maximum level. Kaelen narrowed his eyes. Reroute Dragon Lord, full power to shields. We'll intercept it. Anya, prepare the Echo resonator for a direct shot. Captain, that's an extremely high risk. Anya warned. The resonator hasn't been tested in direct combat conditions like this. We have no other choice. Kaelen yelled, gripping the controls. We cannot lose an Echo station. As the Dragon Lord hurtled towards the K'tharr heavy-class ship, Kaelen felt the pressure of acceleration pressing against his body. The screen in front of him lit up with the image of the enemy vessel. A grotesque, angular mass of metal, A massive plasma beam from the K'tharr ship slammed directly into the Dragon Lord's shields, shaking the ship violently. Alarms blared incessantly in the cockpit. Shields under heavy pressure, Captain, Anya reported, her voice strained. Outer layer weakening. Resonator ready. Activate, Kaelen ordered. With a powerful energy shriek, a brilliant blue stream of light erupted from the Dragon Lord. Not an offensive plasma beam, but a defensive energy field generated by the Echo Resonator. It didn't just absorb the K'tharr's plasma beam, it distorted it, amplified its own energy, and reflected it back. The K'tharr plasma beam suddenly rebounded, no longer its familiar red glow, but a chaotic blue and purple, slamming back into the very ship that fired it. The K'tharr heavy ship shook violently, its systems overloaded, unable to withstand its own reflected energy. With a massive explosion, its shields shattered, and it began to fall freely, burning fiercely in space. Success, Captain, Anya cheered, a bright smile on her face. The resonator worked. We neutralized it. Cheers erupted in the Dragon Lord's cockpit. They had proven that even with the K'tharr's spatial stabilizer device, humanity still had something to counter them. The Echo Resonator wasn't just a defensive technology. It was a challenge. Although the K'tharr had developed the spatial stabilizer device, the Lyran Alliance wasn't idle. Lyran ships, emerging from spacetime distortion, began to join the battle, not only in large numbers but also with a new weapon the K'tharr had never encountered. Report: Lyran ships are deploying an unknown weapon. An intelligence officer on the Dragon Lord called out. It's generating a form of energy shockwave that's shorting out the K'tharr's spatial stabilizer devices. It was a crystal shockwave weapon, developed based on Aris Thorne and Lena Petrova's research into Vesperium and Lyran crystal technology. It didn't instantly destroy K'tharr ships, but it neutralized their spatial stabilizer devices, leaving them vulnerable to human and Lyran SDWs. The battle shifted quickly. The K'tharr Khanate, shocked by the Alliance's new technologies, began to lose their bearings. Their formations broke. Although they had improved, they still couldn't keep up with humanity's adaptability and the Lyran Alliance's innovation. Meanwhile, in Tartarus, Director Anya Sharma was observing the projection of the ongoing battle. Beside her, Professor Alara Vance smiled. They underestimated us again, Professor Vance said. Humans don't just react, we adapt, and we evolve, and we have very talented friends, Rostova said, her gaze fixed on the screen where the green and white dots of the Alliance were pushing back the red dots of the K'tharr. This battle, it's still a challenge, but we are more ready. On the invincible conqueror, Grand Khan Xy'lar roared in fury and panic. How can this be? Their technology has changed. We've been deceived. Grand Khan. They're using a form of crystal shockwave that is faulting our spatial stabilizer devices. Krell reported, his face pale. We cannot counter it. We are suffering heavy losses. Retreat, Xy'lar finally ordered, his voice full of resentment and humiliation. Immediate retreat. We will not repeat this mistake. The K'tharr fleet once again retreated in disarray, leaving behind debris of ships and bitter memories of defeat. This time, humanity's victory was not just a surprise, but a testament to their adaptability and cooperation. The Echo's resonance had rung out once more. But this time, it was not just a challenge. It was a promise that humanity would never yield, and that they would fight to defend their place in the galaxy. The battle in the outer belt of the solar system went down in history as a testament to humanity's extraordinary resilience and adaptability. The K'tharr fleet, once again, was pushed back in humiliation, leaving behind ship debris drifting in space as a warning to those who would invade. This victory was not only Earth's but also the Lyran Alliance's, solidifying their faith in humanity and the potential contributions of a newly emerging species in the galaxy. The consequences of this second battle were even more profound than the first. Grand Khan Xy'lar, utterly humiliated and enraged, retreated deep into K'tharr territory. But this time, he dared not openly declare immediate revenge. Anya Sharma's intelligence reports indicated that Xy'lar had faced harsh criticism from the K'tharr High Council, who had staked their power on him and now faced the truth that conquering Earth was not as easy as they had thought. Although the K'tharr threat still lingered, they had become more cautious, more obsessed, and dedicated time to researching the Lyran Alliance's new technologies rather than simply regrouping and attacking. On Earth, this victory dispelled any remaining skepticism about humanity's role in the galaxy. It solidified faith in the new leadership, in Director Anya Sharma, and in those who had fought tirelessly. Those who had once rejected Lyran technology and wished to return to their old lives gradually changed their minds. New technologies, especially regenerative medicine and infinite clean energy, had clearly demonstrated their value. Tech-free zones gradually disappeared, and Earth began an era of unprecedented unification. With this second victory, humanity was no longer a potential candidate, but had become a full, respected member of the Lyran Alliance. Ambassador Anya Sharma was granted a permanent seat on the Lyran Council, the Alliance's supreme governing body. She became humanity's voice, not only representing Earth's interests but also bringing a unique, pragmatic, and sometimes surprising perspective to Alliance discussions. In a Lyran Council session, Ambassador Solara, with her body glittering like stars, said, "Humanity has proven its worth not only through military might, but through adaptability, creativity, and an indomitable spirit. They bring a breath of fresh air to the Alliance, a dynamism we have not seen in millennia. Goods, knowledge, and culture began to flow freely between Earth and other Lyran worlds. Student exchange programs were established, allowing human students to study at advanced Lyran academies. And conversely, Lyran scientists and artists came to Earth to study and experience the diversity of human culture. This blending created new art forms, new philosophies, and groundbreaking scientific inventions. Kaelen Vance, now not just commander of the Intergalactic Exploration Fleet, but also a symbol of intergalactic cooperation. His Dragon Lord, with continuous upgrades from Lyran and human technology, had become one of the most advanced exploration vessels in the Alliance. Kaelen spent most of his time exploring unknown regions of space, establishing relationships with alien civilizations, and occasionally, resolving minor conflicts between emerging species. On a survey mission to a distant planet, Kaelen and Anya Sharma stood on an observation deck, watching a purple sunrise crest the horizon. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of strange flora. "Did you ever think we'd be here, Kaelen?" Anya asked, her voice contemplative. "Just a few years ago, we were fighting for survival in dusty bunkers. And now, we're standing on an alien world, witnessing an unknown sunrise." Kaelen smiled. "No, I didn't think so, but I think we always had this potential. We just needed a reason to unleash it. And the K'tharr gave us that reason." He reached for the gravity simulator in his pocket, now integrated with an advanced memory chip, containing images of Maya and his lost loved ones. It was no longer a burden, but a part of him, a reminder of the path that had led them here. "You know, Kaelen," Anya continued, "Ambassador Solara said the Xylos were fascinated by your sense of humor. They'd never seen a species that could find such humor in adversity." Kaelen shrugged. "Well, that's how we survive, either laugh or cry, and we've cried enough." Aris Thorne and Lena Petrova, the brilliant minds behind the Echo and the Resonator, continued to push the boundaries of science and technology. Their laboratory in Tartarus had become a symbol of intergalactic collaboration, with Lyran, Xylos, and other species scientists working alongside human scientists. Together, they researched the mysteries of the universe, from the origin of dark energy to the structure of the multiverse. Studies on faster-than-light travel, once only theoretical, were now gradually becoming reality, promising to open up even more distant regions of the galaxy for exploration. "We are standing at the dawn of a new era," Lena, Aris said, late one evening in the lab, his eyes glowing with the light of the screens. "What we have achieved is just the beginning. There are billions of galaxies out there, billions of mysteries waiting." Lena smiled, leaning against the workbench. "Yes, but at least this time, we won't be alone. We have friends, and we've learned how to fight." The Echo's resonance had echoed throughout the galaxy, not just the sound of a battle, but a declaration of humanity's existence. It was the echo of resilience, of an indomitable will, of endless adaptability, and of a species that had found its place among the stars. Earth had been reborn, humanity had united, and the universe, once a terrifying and alien place, had now become a vast home, full of opportunities and unknowns. Kaelen Vance, Anya Sharma, Anya Rostova, Aris Thorne, Lena Petrova, and countless other humans, who had risen in the darkest hour, had become the architects of an infinite future. They had proven that even when faced with utter destruction, the will of a species can create a miracle, an eternal echo in the cosmos. The story of humanity was no longer just the story of a small planet. It was the story of a species that had stepped into the light, ready to face any challenge, and to shape its own destiny in an endlessly expanding universe. 50 years had passed since the K'tharr Khanate's first invasion. Earth, now a thriving hub of the Lyran Alliance, had become a beacon of innovation and cooperation. Cities soared into the sky, rivers ran clean, and forests had returned greener than ever thanks to advanced eco-technology. New generations had grown up without knowing the fear of intergalactic war. To them, the K'tharr were just a chapter in history books, a reminder of humanity's turbulent past. However, the legacy of the war remained, not as a scar, but as a solid foundation for a bright future. Kaelen Vance, now an older man with silver-streaked hair, still frequently visited the Galactic Observatory atop Tartarus. He no longer directly commanded exploration fleets, but he remained a respected advisor and a living symbol of courage. He often told stories of the Echo and the war days to young pilots, eager to follow in his footsteps among the stars. His gravity simulator, now old and worn, was still kept in his pocket, a reminder of the path traveled. Anya Sharma, now Director of Intergalactic Intelligence and Diplomacy, was one of the most powerful figures in the Lyran Alliance. Her sharp mind had helped resolve hundreds of intergalactic crises, from minor trade disputes to potential threats from emerging empires. She still kept in regular contact with Kaelen, two old friends sharing stories of the past and hopes for the future. Director Anya Rostova, who had guided humanity through its darkest hour, had retired from public positions, but she remained a respected advisor to the Lyran Council. She lived in a peaceful garden on a distant Lyran planet, enjoying the serenity she had fought to achieve. Dr. Aris Thorne and Dr. Lena Petrova still worked tirelessly in Tartarus, now one of the leading research centers of the Lyran Alliance. Their work had led to breakthroughs in faster-than-light travel, the ability to create advanced simulated realities, and even preliminary research into communicating with other dimensions. Their laboratory remained constantly energized, with lively debates and groundbreaking discoveries. The K'tharr Khanate still existed, but they were no longer the constant threat they once were. They had been forced to sign a peace treaty with the Lyran Alliance, a treaty guaranteed by the Alliance's superior technology and humanity's vigilance. Signs of change were occurring within the Khanate, as voices calling for reform and a more peaceful approach were slowly emerging. The night sky, with its billions of twinkling stars, was no longer a place of fear. It was an invitation. Humanity, with its experience of war and peace, with its resilience and adaptability, was ready to write its next chapter in galactic history. They were the eternal echo, a testament that even the smallest beings can make the greatest difference. A promise that the vast universe awaited them to explore, learn, and endlessly evolve.